Hello guys, welcome to my channel Chem Insider. So in today's class we are going to discuss about extraction of copper and extraction of zinc from its metal ore. In the previous class we have discussed about the extraction of iron. Using the help of Ellingham diagram we choose some proper reducing agent and also use explanation of extraction by using blasting furnace. So now in this class we are going to extract copper from its ore and then we are going to extract zinc and the methods involved in those extraction process. First we'll start with extraction of copper. For the extraction of copper, first we need to know its ores. So let's click this tool, that is extraction of copper. Extraction of copper. So the four important ores of copper are, first one CuFeS2, that is copper pyrite. Malachite, that is CuOH twice dot CuCO3. We have copper glans, that is CuS, and then we have one more, that is cuprite, that is CuO. So these are the four important ores of copper. Okay, so now we'll start with the necessary thermodynamic stability of extraction of copper. So if you observe our Ellingham diagram, in that Ellingham diagram we draw copper in such a way that the formation for copper to copper oxide, if you take delta G of formation on y-axis and temperature along x-axis, we observed that copper was present above all others. So that is at around the range of 300 minus 300 kilojoules per mole value. We observed copper to copper cupric oxide conversion, Cu plus O2 giving Cu2O. So this is about the reaction of preparation for formation of copper to copper from. This is about the reaction of formation of copper to cupric oxide. Okay, so if you observe clearly, we had all the other reducing agents of carbon below this copper formation of copper to copper oxide curve. That is, one we had is this one, that is carbon monoxide giving carbon dioxide. Then we had a straight line of carbon to carbon dioxide. Then we had one more line, that is carbon to carbon monoxide. So clearly we can say that all the coke which can be used as reducing agent for copper from copper oxide are present below the curve for formation of copper to cupric oxide. So we can use any of those curves, especially after the temperature of 500 Kelvin. After the temperature of 500 Kelvin, we can observe that the line of cupric oxide formation is below than carbon monoxide also. So therefore we can use multiple carbon or carbon monoxide as reducing agents for cupric oxide to copper. So for that, first you need to go through our basic process of extraction. That is, we need to remove the impurities present in it. So copper, if you observe over here, we have three type of impurities present. One is carbonate impurity, one is sulfide impurity, and the other one is ferrous impurities. Okay, so how we can do this is, when we roast, we need to roast this complete different ores except for carbon cupric carbonate. So except for cupric carbonate, we have to roast all the other two, CuFeS2 and copper glans. When we burn Cu2S on CuFeS2 with a blast of hot air, on burning copper glans and copper pyrite with a blast of hot air, we get cuprous oxide Cu2O along with SO2. We are converting our sulfide impurities to SO2. CuFeS2 gives us CuO and FeO and FeS and SO2. So that these are just slight less impurities. This Cu2O further can be converted to CuO. Okay, this Cu2O, sulfur oxide formed by Cu2S, or the oxides of copper, and in case of cupric carbonate CuCO3, we just have to heat them. Once you heat them, we get CuO with CO2. Okay, so these are the different oxides of copper. So in order to separate or in order to reduce this particular metal oxide, what we do is we have two processes. One is for roasting and for the calcination. For roasting, we use the ores of copper pyrite and copper glans. On burning these two in the presence of hot air, we get cupric oxide and sulfur dioxide. In the second case, we get cuprous oxide, FeO and other impurities. In case of cupric carbonate, we just have to heat them in order to liberate the carbon dioxide gas. So now we have three different cupric oxide. We have three different oxides formed by three different impurities. And also we have FeS along with FeO. Okay. So now this completely oxidized metal components are reduced in a reverberatory furnace. So this complete oxides which are completely extracted from our metal ore is taken in a reverberatory furnace. In this reverberatory furnace, we treat them with clay and silica. We treat our ores. Now I am going to erase this. I am just going to take down our different oxides which I have extracted from the metal ore. Those are Cu2O, CuO, we have FeO, FeS, etc. Okay. So these are the impurities present in it and impurities under our metal oxides. So these on complete powdering are treated with coke and clay. They are treated with coke and clay in a reverberatory furnace at a slight lower temperature. So why do we take a lower temperature is, if you go for a higher temperature, cuprous oxide becomes unstable. Okay, so therefore we take it at a lower temperature of about 600 to 700 Kelvin. So at a temperature of 600 to 700 Kelvin, on burning this copper oxide, cupric oxide and cuprous oxide and treating them with coke and clay, we remove off the excess any other remaining impurities of ferrous oxide and ferrous sulfide. That is, FeO reacts with SiO2 to get FeSiO3. Okay, and FeS, which is present again, reacts with burning oxygen to get FeO, which further gets converted to FeSiO3 using the slag. So here, the clay which are using, that is SiO2, is acting as a flux in order to prepare our slag. So this is our flux, this is our Ganch particles, and this is our slag. Okay, so this is how we separate all other ferrous impurities present in our given cuprous oxide ores. So now once the impurities are removed, we treat cuprous oxide and cupric oxide with oxygen. We can first further burn those compounds with oxygen and carbon in order to reduce them to its proper metal state. So that is, on burning cuprous oxide with carbon, we get Cu plus CO, and again CuO with C, we get again two molecules of Cu with CO. So this is how we are going to reduce our cuprous oxide and cupric oxide to our metal copper. So this metal copper which we have prepared by treating with carbon in a reverberatory furnace, are melted and formed in the converted them into shape of ingots. We call the melted copper which is extracted from reverberatory furnace are converted in the form of ingots. Those ingots are then removed complete carbon impurities. They might carry some carbon impurities when they are burned in a reverberatory furnace. So those impurities are removed by and then converted as a blister copper. So these then converted to blister copper which have a very less concentration of carbon impurity. So this is all about the extraction involved in copper from its metal ore. What we have is, we have different four ores of copper. Those are copper glans, copper pyrite, cuprite and malachite. So all those metal ores are crushed into powder and they are roasted if they are containing sulfide and other ores. And in case of carbonates and oxides, we just heat them to liberate those oxygen atoms and convert them to a proper metal oxide. Once we get the metal oxide such as like this, Cu2O and CuO, we treat them with our slag oil influxes such as clay and coke. We use coke as a reducing agent, that is at very low temperature. Because at high temperature, as we have observed in the Lingham diagram, cuprous oxide or copper oxide, cupric oxide get unstable. Okay, they get volatile. Therefore, we don't get use of those reactions. We take at a lower temperature and reduce those cuprous oxide and cupric oxide to carbon. So this molten carbon is cast into shapes of ingots, and those ingots are completely removed off by some SO2 gases present in them. Once they are heated thoroughly, the SO2 gases present in them are completely removed, and then they are converted to blister copper. So this is the industrially pure copper which we extract from our copper metal ores. Okay, so this is about the extraction of copper. Next we are going to discuss about extraction of zinc. Next is about extraction of zinc. So we know we have four types of ores, four different zinc ores. Those are, first one is zinc blende, which is an important one. Zinc blende, ZnS, and then we have calamine, second most important zinc ore, that is ZnCO3, and then we have zincite, that is ZnO, and then we have one more, that is siliceous zinc, that is ZnSiO4.H2. So these are the four different ores of zinc. So these ores on roasting, so these ores are roasted because these two have zinc oxide and zinc sulfur dioxide. So on roasting, zinc oxide at a temperature with oxygen at a temperature of 1173 Kelvin. Zinc is roasted with burning them with oxygen at a blast air. At the temperature of 1173 Kelvin, we get zinc oxide and sulfur dioxide. Whereas for zinc carbonate, we need to calcinate them. In calcinating, we get zinc carbonate get converted to zinc oxide and carbon dioxide. And we have a ZnO from zinc, right? And the ZnSiO4 can be removed by using other silicate impurities. Okay, so now we have our metal zinc oxide. Okay, metal oxide of zinc. So now for the extraction of zinc oxide or the extraction of zinc from its metal, what you have to observe is it is a better strong group of metal. It is a strong metal which cannot be easily reduced by different reducing agents. So what we usually do is we take a help of high temperature. That is, in case of Willingham diagram, the temperature curve for zinc to zinc oxide lies at about 600 Kelvin, minus 600 kilojoules per mole, starts at minus 600 and ends up till for minus 400. What we observe is at a temperature above 1600 Kelvin, we have our carbon monoxide getting converted to carbon monoxide. At that particular temperature, what we observe is we can use carbon to reduce zinc oxide to zinc. That is, as we have observed in our extraction of iron, carbon which is reacting with oxygen to form carbon monoxide, there we have carbon can be used as a reducing agent at higher temperature, which leads us to help in reducing zinc oxide to zinc. Therefore, for reduction of metal oxide of zinc, oxide, we use carbon, that is coke. We can use coke at a temperature of 1673 to 1773 Kelvin. So at a temperature of 1673 to 1773 Kelvin, we can use carbon as a reducing agent for zinc oxide to zinc. Okay, so now what happens in this reaction is zinc oxide on treating with carbon forms zinc and carbon monoxide. Zinc being volatile at this temperature of 1673 Kelvin gets vaporized. Zinc at a range of 1673 to 1773 Kelvin becomes volatile, hence it is evaporated. Once that is evaporated, it is later condensed using it is condensed to form our metal zinc, which is also called briquettes. Zinc oxide, which is treated with carbon or coke at a temperature of 1673 Kelvin, gets reduced to zinc, and at this temperature of 1673 Kelvin, zinc becomes volatile and gets vaporized. This vapor zinc is then condensed using chillers and then converted into form of zinc metal, that is called briquettes, which is later further refined by zone refining or the different methods. Okay. This is about the extraction of zinc. This is rather a smaller one. What we do in this case is we take the powdered ore of zinc and we have two processes of increasing their metal oxide concentration by extraction of metal oxide, that is by roasting and calcination. In case of roasting, we use zinc blende for roasting. On roasting zinc blende at a temperature of 1173 Kelvin, we get respective zinc oxide and sulfur dioxide. Once that is formed, we just calcinate our zinc carbonate by just heating them. So once they are heated, carbon dioxide gets liberated, leaving behind the zinc oxide. And in case of zinc, we have ZnO, and we won't get that much of an extent of siliceous zinc. If we do get siliceous zinc, we can just heat them with clay in order to separate those silica compounds to form ZnO. Okay. Once those zinc oxide compounds are formed, those zinc oxide compounds can be reduced to zinc. But what we observe over here is zinc oxide is hard to reduce at low temperature. Zinc oxide is hard to be reduced at low temperature using carbon or coke. Therefore, what we consider is we consider for a higher temperature range, that is at a range of 1673 to 1773 Kelvin. At 1673 to 1773 Kelvin, we can reduce zinc oxide to zinc by the help of carbon. So once this zinc is formed, at this particular temperature, zinc is volatile, hence they get vaporized. The vaporized zinc metal is then condensed using some chiller conditions, and then we form them as metal zinc, which is also called as briquettes. Okay, so this is how we extract zinc. So this is about the different types of extraction process we can use by the help of Ellingham diagram and choosing for a simple reducing agents. Okay, so next we are going to discuss about the limitation of our reducing Ellingham diagram. So what is the limitation of Ellingham diagram? We know that Ellingham diagram is about the delta G of formation of metal to metal oxide. We know that, right? We have metal to metal oxide formation curve as a delta G. That is, it is a plot of delta G of formation of metal to metal oxide. So this clearly says that we have just a reaction of conversion of metal to its respective metal oxide, but it does not explain us the rate of this reaction. That is, it does not explain the rate of formation of metal to metal oxide. It does not explain the rate of formation of metal to metal oxide. Even though this is a plot of delta G of formation of metal to metal oxide versus temperature, it does not explain us the rate at which this reaction can occur. And further, we are using delta G, which is again a term of equilibrium constant. That is, delta G is equals to minus RT ln K. Delta G can also be equated with ln K. That implies that for delta G to be negative, if K is in equilibrium, that is, the reaction has to be in equilibrium, which is not possible for conversion of metal to metal oxide reaction. That is, metal to metal oxide reactions will not always be in conversion of metal to metal oxide will not be in equilibrium. Conversion of metal to metal oxide reactions will never be in equilibrium. Therefore, delta G, which is equated in the terms of equilibrium constant, does not explain the better composition of the reaction conversion. Okay, so this is about the limitations of Ellingham diagram. One is, even though it is about the formation of metal to metal oxide reactions, it does not explain the rate at which this reaction takes place. And in the second case, delta G is also related in terms of equilibrium constant, But we observe is metal to metal oxide conversion is not always will be in equilibrium. So equilibrium does not exist for metal to metal oxide conversion. That is a one-sided reaction. There is no reverse process without any help. Therefore, doesn't hold good betterly. Okay. So this is about the limitations of Ellingham diagram. So this is all for today. In the next class, we are going to use electrical applications for metallurgy. Okay. How can we use electrical applications for impure processing or extracting some metals from their metal ores? So if you understand today's class, please do subscribe to my channel and share this among your friends. And thank you for watching.